Hellyer, the Academic Director at LSC, and this very short video is about the importance of word frequency in language learning and teaching.
We use a teaching and learning resource called QuizWord as an integral part of our courses. This is something I've developed, and besides being fun and engaging, the main feature of QuizWord is the fact that it uses 2,000 of the most common words in English. This very short video explains why I believe that focusing on high-frequency words should be part of any language course. First of all, a bit of background. Back in 1980, a research team at the University of Birmingham began using computers to analyse the patterns of use of millions of words of modern English, and Dave and Jane Willis were asked to write a series of coursebooks based on the research findings. The result was the 1988 Collins Co-Build English course. Co-Build stands for Collins Birmingham University International Language Database. A couple of years later, Dave Willis's The Lexical Syllabus was published, in which he described, among other things, how they used the research evidence to create a syllabus based on word frequency. While the Collins Co-Build English course was not a great commercial success, the research behind it represented a major advance in the approach used in the teaching of English. Now let's jump forward to 2002 and Scott Thornbury's book, How to Teach Vocabulary. He makes many useful comments regarding word frequency, but I will highlight just three here. The first is that an educated native speaker has a vocabulary of about 20,000 words, which is way too many to learn in a classroom environment. The second is that most native speakers use around 2,000 words in their daily conversation. And the third is that the 2,000 most frequent words in English make up nearly 9/10 of the words in most written texts. Thornbury concludes from this, and I have to agree with him, that there is a strong argument for equipping learners with a core vocabulary of 2,000 high-frequency words as soon as possible. Obviously, learning 2,000 of the most common English words will not result in fluency overnight, and learners need to also focus on their particular lexical needs, but all the research indicates that making this a primary objective is certain to speed up any English learner's progress. So let's look at what kind of words are among the most common. Most of the highest frequency words are grammar or function words, such as has, to, did, she, were, etc., which on their own are not very useful. So it's the content words that we're interested in: verbs, nouns, adjectives, and so on. Now, what are the features of a high-frequency content word? Well, before I give you the answer, try and put these three computer-related words in the correct order, from the most common to the least common. Download, which can be a verb or a noun. Scanner. Software. I'll give you 15 seconds to think about it. Okay, the answer is number 1, software, 2, scanner, and 3, download. And I'm guessing you probably put download before scanner. Well, think about it for a minute. A scanner is not just something you use to copy a picture or document into a computer. There's the scanner in a supermarket which reads barcodes, the scanner in a hospital used for medical examinations, and the scanner in an airport which checks the contents of your bag. So high-frequency content words tend to fall into these 4 categories. Number 1, very common words such as cat, dog, or as in the previous example, software. 2, general words which can be applied to several different things, for example, top or bottom. 3, words which have several different meanings in different contexts, such as value, which has 6 different meanings listed in the dictionary. And 4, a word which combines with many other words, such as deal. It's also worth mentioning that, as in the case of download, if the same word belongs to more than one word class, they count as 2 different words. For example, when we think of the word face, it's the noun that comes to mind, but it can also be a verb, and in fact the verb face is also in the most common 2,500 words in English. Similarly, the verb handle is one of the 2,500 most common words in English, but as a noun, however, it's slightly less common. With all the research evidence out there, I believe that it makes much more sense to focus on how common words combine to generate other expressions, rather than focusing on more obscure vocabulary, which is often presented in advanced course books. In one upper intermediate book, which I won't name, these words were presented as different ways of speaking: gibber, rap out, screech and twitter. All quite obscure, although the last one is now more well known because of the social media website of the same name. And it's not just course books which are to blame for this approach. Some more advanced learners seem to believe that a lesson in which they haven't encountered any new obscure vocabulary has been a waste of time. What they fail to realise is that by their very nature, less common words are less useful and much more difficult to commit to the long-term memory because they will be encountered and used much less frequently. Even advanced learners would be much better off learning how common vocabulary items combine to make new expressions because they are likely to be much more useful. For example, the kind of expressions that are on the screen now. Think of vocabulary learning in terms of cooking. The best chefs are not the people with the most ingredients at their disposal, but the people who can create a wide variety of dishes with basic ingredients. Okay, that's all for now. I hope this has helped you understand why we put so much emphasis on using the research that's available regarding word frequency on LSC courses, and why I encourage our teachers to use QuizWord as much as possible. Thanks for listening.